This is Bedtime Stories, Grownup Edition. The truth, the finale. When we left off, Big Wood had done exactly what he said he would in his last note to True. He went and found her. And finally, he'd done what she wanted him to do all along. He told her the truth. Amira had had a rude awakening. Salema had made sure that she was dressed in the latest fashions, courtesy of Walmart. And she'd substituted every towel, every sheet, every chair, every other piece of furniture, every wall decoration, knick-knack, and the like, with the cheapest alternatives that the dollar store, Amazon, and Furniture Row had to offer. Amira had had the audacity to request a California king bed, and it did not take a rocket scientist to guess that she intended to share it with Big Wood. And the Queen of Petty, Mrs. Salema Ali, substituted it with a full-size bed. When Big Wood left Angela and Stephanie's estate in Denver, his head and his heart was clear. True had expended all of that pent-up energy that Bosch had referred to, and he'd done as she asked. He made arrangements for her to get to Dallas and see about her man. While most of the family was preparing to go to war, Donovan was preparing to preach his initial sermon that Sunday. The Queen Mother all but begged him to reschedule it to the following Sunday or the one after that, and Donovan had considered it. He'd also discussed it with Pastor Corey, and they'd both prayed about it. When the two men met to discuss it, neither was surprised that they'd gotten the same answer from God. The sermon would happen as planned. Lopez and Baptiste's security would be in place, well disguised and well hidden, but the show would go on. Donovan had been called for a time such as this. Meanwhile, in Amira's bedroom at Big Wood's house, Wood was asking Amira, "What exactly are you getting out of wreaking havoc on my life? You went out of your way to ruin my relationship. True hates me. I have no idea what she is, and I'll probably never see her again. I'll probably never get to meet my baby. Now you've weaseled your way into my house, redecorated it with all this cheap furniture and a gang of tacky knickknacks after asking me for a bag and demanding my presence. What's the end goal here, Amira?" Amira said, "I wasn't trying to ruin your relationship. I was trying to get your attention. I was trying to get everything out in the open. And it wasn't my idea to stay at your house. Clearly, you were not staying here with your woman. If you were, her taste is horrible, because this place was tacky as hell. And while I am not pleased with the furnishings and decor that my sister-in-law selected, it's a far cry better than what was here. Had you given me what I asked for and told me when you were coming, I would have ensured that it met your standards." Wood said, "What?" "I gave Wise the money you asked for. I told him to give you whatever you wanted. What the hell you trying to pull, Amira?" Amira said, "Me? I'm not trying to pull anything. It was Salema. She must have pulled a fast one on Wise, because I know he wouldn't have stole your money." Then Amira replayed in her mind everything that Salema had said and concluded that one of two things was going on here. Either Salema had pulled the fast one on Wise and Wood, or all three of them were in on it together, and Wood was trying to catch her slipping. So she said, "By the way that Salema talked to me yesterday, it was pretty clear that she was doing your dirty work. Do you see this little behind bed that I was sleeping in? I could barely fit in it, so it's damn sure not enough room for what I had planned." Big Wood said, "Oh, really? And what you had planned? Let me guess. You planned on getting me in bed again, taking some more videos and pictures that you could use to blackmail me? For what, Amira? You wanted me to come here in person to do the DNA test. Well, I'm here. Let's go do it." Amira grabbed her cell phone off the nightstand, unplugged it from the charger, and got out of the bed. Big Wood had no reaction when he saw that she'd been sleeping completely nude. Amira sashayed over to Big Wood, scrolled through the very few contacts that were saved in the phone that Wise had given her, and said, "Let me see your phone." When he took a phone out and handed it to her, she said, "A phone that's not traceable." Big Wood put the phone back in his pocket and pulled out another one. He said, "Who the hell you calling?" Amira said, "The interior decorator. You're going to get the furniture that I ordered and every item that I selected, procured and delivered to this house before we have the DNA test." Wood said, "That's ridiculous. If you chose expensive things, it's not going to be here today." Amira said, "You're right. I'll meet you halfway. Get the bedroom furniture here before the weekend is up, and we can go and get the DNA test on Monday. Wood jumped up out the chair, knocked both phones out of Amira's hand onto the carpet, grabbed her by both her arms, and pinned her up against the wall, where they were face to face, shocked, scared, and turned on. Amira just sat there with her feet dangling. Big Wood said through clenched teeth, "You got me confused with another nigga. The only reason I didn't kill you while you was sleeping was because I promised my mother I'd find out if you have her grandchild or not first. That baby is the only reason why you still breathing. I asked you what the end goal was, Amira. I know damn well it ain't no damn furniture." Then Amira, shaking in her non-existent boots, looked death in the eyes and said, "This is your baby, Wood, and I am going to prove it to you. But I want a chance to prove to you that I'm not who you think I am. I made mistakes and I'm sorry. I went about everything the wrong way and I know that. This may not be the way that I intended or wanted to bring a child into the world, but it's happening. And I thought that it would never happen. I'm sure this is not how you wanted it to happen either. I'm sure you'd much rather be with True and her baby. But you're here now, and we might as well make the best of it. I'm trying to right my wrongs, fix what I broke, dig myself out of this mess that I made. But I'm gonna need your help to do that. And I'm gonna need to trust you in order to do that. Imagine for a minute how I feel. I'm having a baby with a man whose name I didn't even know. A man who's in love with another woman and just threatened to kill me. If you were me, what would you want?" Big Wood said, "What's to stop me from tying you up and having a doctor come in here and take a blood sample, submit it to a lab for a price, and get the damn test myself?" Amira said, "'Cause you don't want there to be two babies of yours in this world who you'll never see." Big Wood said, "I'm gonna ask you one more time, Amira. What do you want?" Amira said, "Give me the weekend. Let me show you who I really am. Make me feel safe so I can share my secrets with you." Big Wood put Amira's feet back on the floor, picked up the cell phones, unlocked his, handed her hers, and said, "What's the number to the designer? Bedroom furniture only. You'll get the rest of the things you selected if that's my baby." When the call was made, Big Wood said, "Get dressed. Let's go get something to eat." Amira said, "You got everything I want to eat. Too bad this bed is so small." Big Wood said, "Don't push your luck." When Amira and Wood left the house, Amira was surprised to see that Big Wood was driving himself. She said, "No driver? Is this safe?" Big Wood said, "I'm safe wherever I go." Big Wood pulled up to a family-owned Colombian restaurant, pulled around back, helped Amira out of the truck, and walked them into the back door. Inside, they were taken to a booth in the back, and Amira was surprised when Big Wood ordered for them both in Spanish and said, "You're bilingual too?" Big Wood said, "My favorite girl, my grandmother, was Colombian." And when Amira said something about their baby having good hair, Big Wood just stared. Not only was he severely disappointed that he was sitting across from a woman that shallow, but he was kicking himself that she could potentially be the mother of his child. When she asked him to tell her more about himself, Big Wood said, "You said you wanted an opportunity to show me who you are. So tell me, who are you?" And then Big Wood listened to Amira as she told him all about her life, her childhood, her teenage years, and what she'd been doing with her life since she'd been an adult. Big Wood said, "Your ex-boyfriend, the one Wise handled. Tell me about that relationship. How'd it come down to that?" And then Amira tearfully told Big Wood the story. From all accounts, the version that she told him over breakfast was actually the truth. When they were almost done eating, the waitress came and sat a to-go order at the table. When Amira asked who that food was for, Big Wood said, "Your mother." And Amira just smiled, because for all of Big Wood's tough exterior, she knew that there was a warm heart underneath. She'd known that when he stood for Salema at the Niqab and served as Wise's best man at the traditional wedding. She also knew when he gave that toast that he was the kind of man she could spend the rest of her life with. For all of her bravado and scheming, she was regretting the way that she'd handled things in upstate New York, but she was foolish enough to see her pregnancy as the fates joining their lives together in a way that was inseparable. Amira said, "For a man who is not interested in getting in my bed. You are certainly doing all the right things to make that happen. Big Wood said, please do not flatter yourself. My mother raised a gentleman. You need to ask yourself why you didn't think about what your mother would eat for breakfast. And Amira just shut her mouth because she was thinking what her mother had said her whole life. We got food at home. When they got back to Big Wood's house, he pulled up out front, got out, opened Amira's door, handed her the breakfast for her mother, and said, I'll be back. Amira said, when? And Big Wood said, why? You got something else to do? Then he got in the car and drove off. When Amira went inside, her mother said, oh my God, girl, I had no idea where you were. I didn't know if you were okay. You didn't leave a note. Amira said, Mommy, calm down. I went out to eat breakfast with my baby father, and I even brought you back something to eat, and handed her mother the bag. Her mother said, do not leave here without letting me know where you're going. This situation is serious. We are in danger. Amira said, well, according to Big Wood, I'm safe when I'm with him. Mrs. Ali just rolled her eyes. Then Amira said, and if I have it my way, he'll be staying here all weekend. Mrs. Ali said, so you just gonna keep sinning, huh? Amira said, oh, absolutely. And if you're worried about hearing that sinning, then perhaps you should find somewhere else to stay for the weekend. Mrs. Ali called Wise back and said, she's back. Apparently Wood is in town. Then after a brief pause, Amira heard her mother say, well, from the looks of things, she's expecting him to stay here. This is his house after all. After another pause, Mrs. Ali said, well, okay, son, let me know. She hung up the phone, looked at Amira, and just shook her head. As she walked out the room, she said, I'm praying that you'll tell that man everything and give him an opportunity to help us and to stop whatever ridiculous, dangerous plot you've gotten yourself all wrapped up in. Amira said to her mother's back, well, if he gives me what I want, I certainly will. Several hours later, Amira heard a truck pull up out front, and when she looked out the window, she saw Star's car pull up behind it. She headed downstairs and opened the door and watched as the two men who delivered the cheap furniture offloaded the beautiful California king-size bed that she'd ordered, the nightstands, the dresser, the sitting chair, rug, and linen that she'd personally selected to turn her bedroom into an oasis. The men averted their eyes when they carried in a box that contained a stripper pole. And Star walked in behind them saying, I'm sorry, girl. My hands were tied. Your mother called your sister-in-law, told her all about the things you selected, and your sister-in-law made me show her all the items. Then she threatened not to pay me if I didn't substitute every last item, and threatened to kill me if I gave you a heads up. And the way she was looking at me, I believed her. Amira said, don't worry about it, girl, because my man made it right. And as soon as that DNA test comes back, I'll have all the rest of the stuff that I selected. Star said, I know that's right, girl. You're going to have to teach me your ways, because you know what I'm going through with old boy. Amira said, y'all still ain't worked that out? Star said, girl, no. We got to sit down and chop it up. Amira said, that we do. I tell you what, depending on how things go this weekend, I'll be calling you. Monday or Tuesday at the latest. I might need you to come scoop me. And then you can show me what Dallas has to offer, and I can give you some more advice. Star said, all right, cool. I really like you, Amira. If you need anything other than the furniture and stuff, don't hesitate to call me. I got you. When Mrs. Ali saw the old furniture being carried out and the new furniture being carried in, she just shook her head. Amira said, what? Mrs. Ali said, be careful what you wish for. You just might get it. And she walked back into her newly furnished and decorated room and packed a bag. Amira was so enthralled with all of her new trappings that she didn't even notice when her mother left. When everything was set up and the men had headed out, she turned to Star and said, so, I need a favor. I was able to get my hands on a couple dollars, and I need to go and grab a few things. Any way that you can take me by a mall? Now, before you do this, I need you to know that my brother and his wife are probably going to know that I left with you, and they're not going to be happy about it. Star said, I have another client that I'm supposed to meet later on. Let me call her and check and see if we can move that appointment back. And if so, I'm all yours. I love a good mall trip. Then Star called Salema. Using code, she told her to run the camera back about 45 seconds. And when she had, Star asked her if that appointment could be pushed back. Salema told Star to stall Amira about 20 minutes, just long enough for her to get soldiers in place so that they could be tailed, and then take Amira wherever she wanted to go. When the two women arrived at the closest mall, Amira tore Victoria's Secrets down. And then she sent Big Wood a text, asking him what was his favorite thing to eat for dinner. When Big Wood responded, she had Star take her to the local grocery store, where she purchased everything that she'd need to prepare a meal fit for a king, and then sent Big Wood an invitation to dinner at his place. When he said he'd be there, Amira was shocked and excited as hell. She had Star take her back to the mall, where she grabbed a new outfit, some high-heel pumps, and a new bottle of perfume. She hit up Adam and Eve. When Star dropped her off, she was giddy, and by 11 p.m., she was pissed. Big Wood had stood her up. She called him 7 or 8 times and got no answer. Texted several times and got no response. Finally, she sent him a scathing rebuke and went to bed. She didn't even clean up the kitchen or put any of the food away. Around 2 a.m., she was awakened to a whole bunch of bumping and banging in the kitchen. She threw on a robe and went down to see what the hell was going on. And there was Big Wood, drunk as a skunk, stumbling around the kitchen, attempting to reheat one of the plates of food that Amira had left on the table. Amira said, "So this is what you do? You stand me up and then you just show up when you get ready to. Drunk as hell and making a gang of noise?" Big Wood said, "This is my house. Show up when I'm ready to. You made this food for me? Heat it up then." He dropped the plate on the counter and stumbled over to the table and sat down. Amira said, "I'm not heating up nothing. Dinner was served hours ago. Figure it out yourself. Don't burn your house down." Then she turned to leave the room, and Big Wood said, "You think this is easy for me? This whole situation has turned my life upside down. You got me out here doing things I don't do. You know how many times I had to pull over just to get here in one piece? Well, I'm here now, and I'm hungry. That's what you wanted, right? You wanted me here with you. Well, help me get some food in my belly and dry up some of this 1738, and I'll give your ass what you've been asking for." Hearing that, Amira made a beeline for the microwave. This was probably her only chance to get some of Big Wood without manipulation. He'd got himself drunk as hell, and it was clear that he was hot and raring to go. She'd feed him the plate of food if she had to, but she was gonna get her some Big Wood. What Amira didn't know was there was not a drunk bone in Big Wood's body. When she'd leaned over him to place the plate of food in front of him, her nostrils were filled with Christian Dior Sauvage in 1738, because Big Wood had poured some in a cup, stuck his finger in it, and put a drop of his favorite liquor on all his pulse points. Then he ran on the treadmill at the safe house long enough to break a sweat, so that the smell of both his cologne and the alcohol were coming out of his pores. For good measure, he even rubbed some on his gums so that his breath would smell like 1738. His plan was simple. If he had to do this, he was going to do it his way. She had no idea what she was asking for, but she was going to get it. She was just going to have to work for it. And when he gave it to her, he was going to torture her with it. Because while he didn't have any fond memories of their first time together, he did have the unfortunate displeasure of recalling exactly how she liked it. And he was absolutely going to use that to his advantage. He was not just a professional killer. He was a professional ladies' man. He was well versed at both getting women in his bed and getting them talking. Amira was a mark who was foolish enough to believe that she could play the player. Wood had hung his head up because he fell in love, but he wasn't a sucker, and he wasn't no damn fool. And she was not going to get what she wanted until she was begging for it, and he was going to enjoy every minute of it. When he finished scarfing down his food, he looked at her and said, "I'm full. Now let me see what that mouth do." And Amira obliged. When her jaws were sore and she'd worked herself into a frenzy, Big Wood said, "You still got that little behind bed or what?" Amira said, "No, the new one came. Let me show you." Then he stumbled, following her up the stairs. And in the bedroom, he clumsily attempted to remove his clothes, forcing Amira to help him out of them. When he was completely nude, he snatched her out of her robe, and like the night before, she'd been sleeping in the nude, so there was nothing under it. He pushed her down on the bed and used his lips to pleasure her, from neck to hips. He did not put his lips on hers, and he did not go below the Mason-Dixon line. He did, however, pleasure her digitally, almost to the edge. Then he stopped and said, "Where the condoms at?" Amira said, "What? I don't have any condoms. I'm already pregnant." Big Wood said, "What that mean? You been with like 4 men in the past month by your own account. I ain't going in raw. The first time was the biggest mistake of my damn life. Then you had the audacity to go to the doctor and not had him test done?" I don't know what you got. I don't know what you used to, but I protect myself. The only woman I'm hitting raw is True. Then he said, what the hell am I doing? Yeah, I'm good, Ma. Then he got up, grabbed his clothes, and went to the guest room, leaving Amira frustrated, wet as hell, pissed off, and insulted.
Feeling like I wasn't good enough. Had me questioning myself, I wasn't sure enough. Had me looking in the mirror, trying to analyze my figure. I ain't perfect, you won't perfect, so that figures.